5 times as much coal out before with 150,000 as they are with, well, hell, we got maybe less than 1,000 union miners, and the rest of them all union miners. Things has changed a whole lot here in my short life, okay? Right here, for instance, we had 60-some families lived here. Right across from you over there, you'll see a white structure over there. That's where the general store used to be. Out there where the white rock was, we had a church and a school. A lot of people used to be here. And I was thinking about when y'all was walking down through here while going, everybody's talking and chattering. Kind of reminds you of a bunch of chickens carrying on, you know. Well, that's how people are. All talking and carrying on. And how you doing? Over at the general store on this Saturday night after working all week, people together around the fiddles and the harmonicas and have a good old hold down, you know. I'm only telling you what I have in my head. When you're going to walk in a little bit, you won't even know it because you can't see it. You're sitting on a piece of ground that the industry says is worth $650 million. I turned it into a land trust in 92 simply to keep the coal company from getting it. And that's something, you got to turn your own land into a land trust, keep them from overrunning it. That's what we did. In 93, I met with a fellow by the name of Eugene Kitts. He was vice president of Massey Coal then. He made a statement to me. We went and had a meeting with him because we caught him moving our corner pin on our property over 500 feet. It shifted everything. All the land after they got through would have been on a high wall. We wouldn't have had no flat land. And so they didn't count on anybody in the family having any records. So we had a meeting with them and pointed out the boundaries, and the violence didn't start here until 93. From 93 to now, we've had 136 acts of violence, shootings, burning of cabins, killing dogs. Last year right here, we had 2 drive-by shootings right here in May, 2 days in a row. The second day when they came by, they started shooting from the curb right there and continued all the way up through here. The second day when they came by, it was 2 days in a row now, Saturday and Sunday. I had my pistol on me the second day, and I fired back, but I was in my yard. I couldn't hit anybody with a pistol from my yard. But I haven't had a drive-by shooting since. But the thing is, you know...
Who did the newspapers say the shootings were by?
Well, it's I tell you, the biggest thing, and Bo and I or anybody else is doing this, the biggest thing we have to deal with is scared people. And the industry's got the people cranked up against the people. And that's what it is. You know, a small percentage of people, and the state's employment, the coal in the state is less than 2%. But yet they control the politicians and all our national representatives take money from coal. 95% of our local representatives take money from coal. And people tell me I should get in the political arena and change it. I ain't got a checkbook that big. You know, I tell you what, we have the best politicians in this state that money can buy. Am I right? Sure. Now, this is the fact of it is, just like we had just now Joe mentioned recently. You know, it was against the law for him to run for Senator Byrd's seat as it was, so he makes a law to make it possible. In other words, you know, make your law as you go. Okay? Now, this land nowadays, they tell me, is, like I said, the industry said it's worth $650 million. But listen what I'm going to say to you next. I tell everybody this. I ask you now, listen very closely. You won't have the answer for it. You won't even know the answer until you go home and lay down in your comfort zone and say, okay, now I'm going to ask you, what do you have so close to your own circle of life? What do you have, my friend, in your own circle of life that you don't have a price on it? What would it be for you? How far would you go to protect it, and what would you do? I've had friends buy me a bulletproof vest. This is where I lived. This is where I was born. I lived here 4 times about a year and a half ago. I got married. But I'm now here, stay here 4 or 5 days a week sometimes. Most times 3 or 4 days a week anyhow, giving tours. Why would anybody want to give me a bulletproof vest? If I didn't have much danger up here, how come we ain't doing anything, the law enforcement agencies ain't doing anything to protect me here? I'll tell you what, People across the country like you. People across the country like you spend a great deal of money to put cameras on the trees and in my woods by the house up there to try to. It's constantly filming now for the last 3 weeks. Constantly filming. This 4th of July we had here this year was the most peaceful 4th of July we had in 21 years. I've been giving mountaintop concerts. We didn't have nobody get beat up. We didn't get nobody shot at. And 6 out of the last 8 4th of July we had drive-by shootings here. Well, I had people here. Now, whatever you've been told and whatever you know right now, you don't know a damn thing about this. Sometimes people say, Larry, you get people angry. You shouldn't talk to these people like this. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I've been playing by the rules for 25 years. And they still been destroying the mountains. We have over 4 million acres destroyed now. And I've only managed to save 50. So, yes, you're either going to get mad at what I've said here today or you're going to leave here and do some more. You think you've done enough? Hell no, you ain't done enough.
Not at all.
We got to live the next day, don't we?
Yep.
Your dog in the fight is the fresh air and first time they called me to New York in 2000, I spent 6 weeks up there on a road from Connecticut to New Jersey. And the first time they called me up there is for lawsuits against the state of West Virginia for acid rain. Yes, and they got held accountable for it. But yet, our politicians here ain't doing that. This land, I was telling Billy today, this land, the first deed on this land was made in 1797. And our people used coal here some 40 years or more before it became commercialized. Now, you'll be able to go for a walk in a minute, and you'll be able to pick coal up off the ground. So we got to see the ground showing out, just coming out of the ground. Now, the industry says the only reason they do mountaintop removal is because the coal's too close to the surface. Let me tell you, they've dropped the mountains around me on an average of almost 1,000 feet, all the way around me, and the cut that I want to take you now is a final cut. This is an island now. This is an island. Right after Ground Zero, I had a bunch of people come to see me from Union Theology Seminary. And I took them out there, and it was at the rawest it could be. You know, all the dozers going every which way and everything. And all of a sudden, all these people was crying. I mean, I've seen people crying before, but uncontrollably sobbing at what they were looking at. And a lady, an African-American lady, come up to me and put her hands on my shoulders, and she says, I see you got your Ground Zero too. Oh my, yes. Yes. So you see, you know, I spoke 2 years in a row at the United Nations on this issue. And the first time I spoke up there, they said like this, we can't take any industry into West Virginia simply because of what? Because we have mountains. This was an educated man who said that day, and I'll tell you one thing, it didn't take an educated man to make him look bad that day.
Oh boy.
But I did. I made him look so bad that day that they closed the meeting down. You know, and TR from the Union, from the United Nations started interviewing me the rest of the day on that one. You can't say so. 7,000 acres been destroyed around me, and they never sold one stick of wood off this place. They buried the timber. They buried the topsoil. Never hauled any out of here. They have enough timber buried in this ground to keep a wood mill going for years and years and years, you know. And when that man said they can't bring any industry in here, at that time we had 500,000 acres flattened. What are you going to put them at? When are you going to bring them? And that's when I stood up and took over the floor. Didn't raise my hand or nothing. I just stood up and started talking. And didn't get the floor back for 20 minutes, and he shut the meeting down on me. Simply because I disagreed with him. Can't bring any industry in here. We have the most craftiest people in the coal fields here. They had to be crafty with their hands in order to make it. Billy said himself, coming up here, why do you have to have just one industry to maintain economics here? Coal. Doesn't have to be. And our governor will not bring any other industry in here other than Walmart, telemarketing, because they don't want to interrupt in the labor force. So that way they get the cream of the crop here.